Everyone expected the three abandoned cheetah cubs to perish, until a gentle golden retriever stepped forward and did the unthinkable. She raised them as her own, shaping predators with nothing but love. But when the cubs grew into powerful adults, the world held its breath. Because what happened next stunned everyone. The sanctuary cameras caught something no one could believe. Three full-grown cheetahs sprinting straight toward a lone golden retriever. Staff panicked, certain tragedy was seconds away. But when the cheetahs finally reached her, what they did shocked the entire world and revealed a secret bond no one saw coming. Everyone braced for disaster the moment three adult cheetahs charged full speed at a single golden retriever. Staff screamed, visitors froze, and cameras captured every terrifying second. These were apex predators, raised by this dog as helpless cubs. But when they reached her, what happened next defied instinct, logic, and nature itself. Deep in the heart of a quiet wildlife sanctuary, life moved at a gentle, unhurried pace. Rangers tended to rescued animals, volunteers cleaned enclosures, and visitors wandered the walkways, admiring creatures healing from the world beyond the fences. Among them lived a golden retriever named Lila, a calm, affectionate dog known for comforting anxious animals brought into the sanctuary. She wasn't just a companion. She was the sanctuary's emotional anchor point. One chilly morning, everything changed. Rangers discovered three newborn cheetah cubs hidden near a patch of tall grass. They were weak, trembling, and crying out in desperation. Their mother was nowhere to be found. The staff moved quickly, wrapping the cubs in blankets. But even as they worked, whispers spread. Without a mother, their chances were slim. The team debated their options, unsure how to save the fragile newborns. No one expected Lila to make the first move. When the staff carried the cheetah cubs into the recovery room, Lila trotted behind them, tail swaying with gentle curiosity. She paused at the doorway, sensing the tension. The cubs huddled together on a blanket, tiny bodies rising and falling with shaky breaths. Their spotted fur bristled as Lila stepped closer. One cub let out a faint hiss, more fear than threat, and the others pressed tightly against each other. The staff watched anxiously, unsure whether to pull Lila back or trust her instincts. She lowered her head slowly, giving the cubs space, her soft eyes fixed on them with maternal calm. The room held its breath. Then, Lila quietly laid down on the floor beside them, not touching, just offering warmth. The cubs hesitated, their ears twitching. Finally, one scooted an inch closer, then another. Drawn by her steady presence, that it was the first fragile bridge between two unlikely worlds. The following morning, the sanctuary staff entered the nursery expecting another day of tense introductions. Instead, they froze in place. Lila was curled around the three cheetah cubs, her golden fur wrapped protectively around their tiny bodies. The cubs were nestled against her belly, purring softly, their earlier fear replaced by comfort. It was as if they had always belonged there. Lila lifted her head when the staff approached, giving them a calm, reassuring look, as if telling them she had things under control. When one of the cubs whimpered, she responded instantly, grooming him with slow, gentle strokes. The sanctuary team exchanged stunned glances. No one had taught her what to do. She simply knew. Within days, the cubs began following Lila everywhere, toddling behind her on wobbly legs. She nudged them forward when they hesitated, barked softly when they wandered too far, and let them climb over her as if she were their living playground. Mealtimes became easier, naps became longer, and the cubs' strength returned faster than anyone expected. Word of this unusual family spread quickly. Visitors snapped pictures, staff shared videos online, and soon, Lila and her spotted babies became a symbol of unexpected love. As the weeks turned into months, the tiny helpless cubs transformed into energetic young cheetahs. Their legs grew longer, their eyes sharper, and their once clumsy steps became confident strides. Every morning, the sanctuary staff opened the gate to the exercise field, and the cubs would burst out like three streaks of spotted lightning. They chased each other across the grass, tumbled through the dirt, and practiced the instincts nature had carved into their bones. But no matter how wild their games became, they always circled back to Lila. She watched them proudly from her favorite patch of shade, tail thumping every time one of them returned. When they grew too rough, She barked sharply, reminding them of boundaries. When they grew tired, she let them collapse against her side, panting and purring all at once. Despite their growing size, they still snuggled beside her like newborns. Handlers noticed subtle changes: longer strides, low stalking postures, sharpened reflexes. The cubs were learning to be cheetahs, yet they behaved as if Lila were their compass. Even during their fastest sprints, they always glanced back to find her. It became clear that while instinct shaped their bodies, Lila had shaped their hearts. By the time the cubs reached adolescence, the sanctuary felt a subtle shift in the air. They were no longer the tiny, fragile creatures Lila once guarded. Their bodies had grown sleek and powerful, their movements faster, their instincts sharper. With every passing week, their playful pounces began to look more like practiced hunting dives. Staff members admired their development, but concern gradually crept into their conversations. One afternoon, during feeding time, that concern became real. As a handler lowered a bowl into the enclosure, the largest cub released a deep, rumbling growl, not of fear, but of dominance. It wasn't directed at the handler alone. Even Lila paused, ears perked, sensing the change. The cubs were testing boundaries, discovering strength they never knew they had. The staff started asking difficult questions. What happens when they're fully grown? Will they still see Lila as family or as prey? Their instincts were awakening faster than anyone predicted. Meetings were held, protocols updated, and eventually a painful decision surfaced. Soon, for safety, the cheetahs and Lila would need gentle separation. Lila didn't understand the discussions, but she felt the tension. She sensed the unease in the humans' voices, and something distant, shifting in her cheetah children. The day of separation arrived far sooner than anyone wished. The cheetahs, now tall, elegant, and undeniably powerful, were moved to a larger, open enclosure designed for adult predators. Lila watched them leave with confused eyes, her tail lowered, her paws shifting anxiously on the ground. She didn't understand why her babies were being taken somewhere she couldn't follow. Hours later, the staff decided to allow Lila a supervised visit, one final moment to ease the transition. As the gate opened, she trotted inside, ears perked, searching for the three animals she had raised from helpless infants. But the cheetahs were already sprinting toward her. Handlers froze. Their hearts pounded. Full-grown cheetahs running at full speed toward a domestic dog could only mean danger. Hands hovered over tranquilizers. Someone shouted a warning. Lila stood still, bracing herself, and in that split second, everyone feared the unthinkable was about to happen. Just as the handlers prepared for disaster, the three cheetahs skidded to a halt around Lila, not with fangs bared, but with soft, rumbling purrs that vibrated through the air. They pressed their heads against her neck, brushing their sleek bodies along her sides the way they had as tiny cubs. Lila's tail wagged wildly, her entire body trembling with relief and recognition. The sanctuary staff stood in stunned silence. These were no longer cubs seeking warmth. They were apex predators showing affection to the one creature they trusted most. One cheetah lay down at her paws, another nudged her chin gently, and the largest stood guard behind her, as if protecting their mother. It wasn't an attack, that it was a reunion. Even with instincts fully awakened, the cheetahs hadn't forgotten the dog who raised them, comforted them, and taught them love. Their bond had survived nature itself. News of the unexpected reunion spread like wildfire. The sanctuary posted a short video of Lila surrounded by her towering cheetah children, and within hours, millions of people were sharing it. Viewers from around the world marveled at the gentle dog who had raised predators as if they were her own puppies. Today, the cheetahs live in their adult habitat, strong and independent. Yet they still allow supervised visits with Lila. Each meeting is tender, peaceful, and filled with recognition. Their incredible story stands as a reminder that love can cross any boundary. And sometimes, the wildest bonds are the most beautiful.